What is up, guys? It's Keith with Your House Our Rules. We're taking a little bit of a different approach with things from the podcast or whatever. This isn't really going to be considered a podcast. I might upload it on the podcast stuff, but I don't fucking know. Anyway, we're going to kind of wing this shit. Some new stuff happened. Weed is now legal in Ohio, and so are abortions. So we're going to get into that. I had no idea that this weed thing was even on the list of things that we could vote on until last week. So that shows how caught up I am with weed, but I might have an interesting take with it. And if you're wondering where everyone else is, it's just kind of gotten to the point where it's going to be a lot easier to do it by myself. It's been getting exceedingly harder and harder to get people just to respond to a fucking text message. So, yeah, that is what it is. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of read along and kind of go through stuff. So, Ohio voters have approved a ballot measure to legalize recreational marijuana, making it the 24th state to embrace legalization in a push that's expanding into more conservative parts of the country. So, yeah, they are, I guess, pushing into more conservative parts. It does say down here that they are using it to, regulate and tax it, which I will say is the one thing that is actually coming out of this that is new and that is good. Now that we can regulate and tax it, we can use it to help pay for roads or whatever our taxes are going to or whatever. Maybe we're just paying for, us to send more bombs over to Israel or Ukraine. But that is what it is. The fact that we can do it now, you don't have as many dangerous people selling drugs or whatever, but this is kind of gets me into the point that I want to make, which is what really has changed here. I know a lot of people are up in arms that this shit is getting a lot better or whatever. And when I see it, it's just kind of the same old business. Everybody that I know has been smoking weed for however many years. I'm in my mid-30s. Does this really fucking matter anymore? You're either smoking or you're not smoking. And all this really does is make it legal now. Although in the state of Ohio, I know, or maybe specifically Cincinnati, it's already been decriminalized, which means that unless you had over 99 grams of it, all you would get slapped with was a $50 fine or whatever. And plus, we all know that most people, most cops and anyone doesn't really give a shit about it. Yeah, you might have a couple jobs that are now going to be able to legalize it, but everybody's been using fucking Quick Fix already. Everybody's found a way around a drug test, has a cool boss, someone who will warn them or whatever. And guess what? It's still illegal federally, which means that if you do have one of those federal jobs or a job that, wants to fucking say that you can't smoke marijuana in order to work there, then guess what? You're not going to be able to smoke marijuana. So I don't see exactly what's changed for the benefit here. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, we finally got it. But it's like that meme that we saw back when we all turned 21 where it was like, we've just been doing the same shit illegally that we've been doing, or we can do the same shit legally now that we've been doing illegally for the past fucking 5 years, because I've been drinking since I was 16, some even younger than that. So the one thing that I did want to kind of touch on here was the medical marijuana has been legalized in Ohio since 2016, and just kind of further backs my point with what has really changed here. Anyone who's had a medical use for marijuana has already had it in this state, has already had their card or whatever. Maybe this does expand upon some of the medical things that you can actually use it for, but for the most part, it just seems like this is just being made legal recreationally, and everybody who's already had it has been smoking it either illegally or legally. I know quite a few people who have already, got their medical card, made up something, went to a doctor that was, a little greasy and fucking gave them a pass to be able to smoke marijuana because that's just what they want to do. I'm not hating anybody for wanting to do this stuff. I think that it has its medical uses. I think that if you want to smoke marijuana, you should be able to smoke marijuana. I think people should be able to put fucking just about whatever they want to in their body. When it comes down to it, I'm more of a proponent of legalizing all drugs and being able to regulate it so that we can actually do as I just said, regulate it. We can actually give people safe ways of doing this, and that makes it something that can be used beneficially towards everyone. But however, if it's not gone about in the right way, that ends up ruining things. Because there are places, I think it was Vancouver or something. I watched a video today about how they're having a drug epidemic. They legalized all the drugs there, and it's caused some serious issues with it. They're walking down the corners. There's drug dealers confronting them because they have cameras. There's people with bent spines because they're fucking nodding off because of all the opiates and shit that they've done. There's just it's just rampant with all kinds of shit going on there. That's the way to not do it. There are places like the Netherlands and other places in Europe that have gone this successfully, but they also have a way of getting people help if they do fall into these drug addictions, and they have limits to the amount of stuff that you can buy. So there's certain ways to go about this. I think that this medical marijuana, I do think that it is going about it in the right way. I know that there was a bunch of monopolies that happened last time we tried to regulate or last time we tried to legalize recreational marijuana, which was just a couple years even before this, 2015, maybe 2014 or something like that. And there were too many monopolies. A lot of people didn't want to vote for it. And like, there were even people, me at the time being like 20, 21 years old when we were like really smoking fucking weed and shit like that. There were people that I know that were like, this isn't the way to do it. So it took half a decade later, but we finally got here. So the last thing that I kind of want to touch on here is the possession of marijuana is still a federal crime, but Joe Biden has already pardoned the prior offenses for simple marijuana possession. I don't think we're doing anything new here in regards to releasing criminals, or I guess we couldn't call them criminals at that point, but releasing people with marijuana related crimes. When it comes down to it, Ohio is still going to have the people in prison, or they've already been pardoned by Joe Biden through it. So maybe that's something that I just haven't read a little bit into. This is a little bit of a shorter article, but I kind of just want to touch on a couple things. I will say that I kind of am shitting on this a little bit because it hasn't changed much, but they are steps in the right direction. Another state legalizing it recreationally is just, part of the snowball effect. As we keep doing it, more and more will keep coming on. I think there's only like 2 or 3 states that still have a zero tolerance marijuana laws and stuff like that. So it is a step in the right direction. I think that this is good, but when it comes down to it, I just see a lot of people out there who are like celebrating this for really no reason. It's not like your day-to-day life is going to change. When it comes down to my personal experience, I smoked weed damn near my entire life. This past November, so it was almost a year ago, I was going through a really bad mental state. I was having some issues, and every time I would smoke weed, it would put me in a super anxious hellhole, and I had to stop. For a while there, it was hard to sleep, and my sleep schedule got messed up, but after I went through it, I came out better. And I'm glad that I stopped smoking. I still may occasionally, when I'm out, hit a joint or fucking, if someone else rolls it, but I haven't actually bought weed in a while. So that's kind of where I'm at. And when it comes down to it, after I did get my sleep schedule back on track, I kind of realized just how lazy it was making me. And how right my mom was for, my entire life, pretty much. And I think that when it comes down to it, I see a lot of people out there who really kind of use weed as a crutch for fucking bad habits. I think that it does make them lazy, and that they aren't really going as far as they could in life with marijuana, but yet try to convince themselves and others that it is helping them. Now, that's not to say there aren't people out there who do genuinely benefit from marijuana, because one of my really, really good friends who makes 6-figure salary, he smokes weed all the time. He's rolling up literally every 15 minutes, and this man is one of the most productive people that I know. But he is an outlier compared to all the other people I see. This is kind of that law that I think is just keeping lazy people lazy. So yeah, after getting into this a little bit, I don't think that much has really changed. Maybe we have a little bit of a snowball effect and other states will follow suit, but for the most part, it's just something that needed to be legalized fucking years and years ago anyway. There are definitely some benefits that happen with hemp and stuff like that. We don't murder as many trees. It's a lot easier to grow, so we could make more and more paper and other type of materials and textile things that would benefit us day-to-day life. That's one reason why apparently marijuana was made illegal back 100 years ago or something like that. Very archaic shit, but this is something that really needed to be done years ago, and I'm surprised that it's actually been taking this long to do it. So, steps in the right direction, but personally I'm going to shit on it a little bit because it doesn't really affect me. So, yeah, fuck you guys. Grow up.